Right now, across the Alaskan coast, homes are tilting, roads are buckling, and entire communities are making plans to abandon their land. Why? Because the ground beneath their feet is turning into something like quicksand. This isn't a slow motion problem for the next century. It's a crisis happening today, and it's only getting worse. Just look at the aftermath of Typhoon Halong in 2025. That unusually powerful storm, fueled by record warm Pacific Ocean temperatures, didn't just flood coastal villages. Its surge pushed water an incredible 60 miles upriver, resulting in dozens rescued, hundreds displaced, and at least one death. But that terrible tragedy is, as they say, only the tip of the iceberg. The far quieter, more insidious threat remains: melting permafrost. The tip of the melting iceberg. Average annual temperatures in the state have increased about 4 degrees Fahrenheit since the 1950s. Expect the mercury to rise even further by 2050. Why is this happening so fast? The areas surrounding the poles are warming twice as fast as the rest of the world. Alaska and the rest of the Arctic region might seem remote. At the same time, the impact from this warming won't stay confined to the poles because of interconnected sea and air currents. We might all live in our own countries, states, and provinces, but we're all residents of Earth. Even if flooded coastlines don't directly affect you today, the impact of the source of these issues, like global warming, will in the future. Quicksand underfoot. The infrastructure crisis. This warming trend won't turn Alaska into a tropical paradise, at least not in our lifetimes. Instead, think about the way a block of ice takes up more space than liquid water. When the permafrost, the permanently frozen ground, melts, it loses volume. The ground sinks, making it far less able to support buildings, essential infrastructure, wildlife, and of course, people. Some areas of Alaska could lose almost all of their permafrost within the next few decades. By 2050, global warming could impact half of the state's infrastructure, displace thousands more people, and cause absolutely ruinous financial losses. Studies don't just focus on the land right along the coast, but also several miles inland. Just like with Typhoon Halong, the extensive river systems and widespread permafrost mean the damages won't remain confined to the seashore. Let's look at each of these problems and then consider how some will actually make climate change worse, triggering a feedback loop, a doom loop, if you will, that will increase the impacts in Alaska, all over the Arctic, and even globally. Land loss and ruined infrastructure. Consider the most obvious problem: land loss from rising seas and sinking ground. Coastal erosion and permafrost subsidence are projected to cause extensive land loss, threatening every coastal community and all infrastructure built near the shore. For example, look at what's already happening: the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. Melting permafrost has already damaged buried sections of the pipeline, which has also threatened the stability of the elevated sections. The operator has spent considerable money trying to alleviate the threat and enhance maintenance. Airport runways. Sinking ground has damaged vital airport runways, which are critical for transportation and supplies to remote regions. Unlike other parts of the country, people here can't just run to the store for supplies. Roads and ice roads. Even roads are sinking. The Alaska Ice Road season, made famous by the History Channel series, has shrunk considerably in recent years. Military installations. Military installations built on permafrost, including Eielson Air Force Base, Fort Wainwright, and Fort Greely, have already suffered damage. In time, this could weaken our national security. The human cost. Climate migration. Probably most critically, about 170,000 people live in Alaska's permafrost regions. According to Scientific American, at least 19 communities face multiple significant threats by 2050, and 35 experience at least one threat. Some are already making plans to relocate, an incredibly disruptive and costly process. Look at a few examples. Nunapitchuk. Residents report their homes are sinking as the permafrost beneath them melts, causing extreme instability. The community voted to relocate to higher ground in 2023. Hooper Bay. The community has spent millions to protect critical infrastructure like its airport access road, but rising waters continue to pose an existential threat. Efforts are now shifting toward relocating the entire village. Newtok. Residents of Newtok, Alaska, began relocating in 2019, and the last residents moved in 2024. They left for Murdervik, a community about 9 miles away and located on higher, more stable ground. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, more than half of all Alaskan communities are already at the maximum threat level from flooding, erosion, and permafrost thaw. Environmental and global threats. This problem doesn't just affect buildings, and it certainly doesn't only impact Alaska. As if flooding, displacement, and ruined infrastructure weren't bad enough, melting permafrost also carries broader environmental concerns. While this video focuses on Alaska, global warming and melting permafrost impact millions of people in various Arctic communities all around the globe. Besides the obvious problems of flooding, sinking ground, and failing infrastructure, melting permafrost also brings serious environmental threats. These hazards impact residents directly, but some spread to contribute to climate problems all around the world. Health and safety. Hazards. The thaw can release contaminants and destabilize vital structures like hospitals and clinics. Water sources can become contaminated, and the risk of biological threats, like mold or even anthrax from thawed carcasses, are also serious concerns. Ecosystem and habitat changes. Thawing permafrost alters landscapes, leading to phenomena like drunken forests, trees that lean or fall over, and can cause lakes to drain or expand, dramatically changing habitats for fish and wildlife. Greenhouse gas release. Permafrost thaw will release massive amounts of previously frozen carbon into the atmosphere, primarily as methane and carbon dioxide. These greenhouse gases accelerate global warming, leading to further warming. As they say, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. So far, we've mostly talked about immediate impacts on smaller Alaskan communities. However, larger cities are gravely impacted as well. These include Norilsk, Yakutsk, and Vorkuta in Russia. Also consider Fairbanks, Alaska, and Canadian towns like Churchill and Tuktoyaktuk. These communities, large or small, face the same problems of infrastructure collapse, environmental threats, and sometimes the partial or full abandonment of unstable or ruined infrastructure. Sometimes, as with the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, entities have deep enough pockets to mitigate the problems. However, very often that's not the case, and the lack of funds or critical infrastructure sparks climate migration. What can be done? Are there any solutions to the problems sparked by global warming and melting permafrost? Curbing greenhouse gas emissions to slow warming is an obvious solution, but it's a tough one and probably won't happen soon enough. We may have to focus on other solutions to help slow the melting and mitigate the damage. Some ideas have ranged from reintroducing large herbivores to building more climate-resilient buildings and roads. The Alaskan Pipeline's operators have even installed thermosiphons, which are a passive cooling system, to help keep the ground frozen. On our own, we can try to reduce our individual greenhouse gas footprints and support businesses and politicians who understand and want to address these issues. On that note, I appreciate your support of this channel. Please feel free to comment your own thoughts below, and naturally, seeing your video likes and channel subscriptions roll in helps motivate me to continue.